What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here, welcoming you to part 1 of a brand new modded Total Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign. Your votes are in, and they call for us to bring him to his men. The Empire will be led by the Prince and Emperor Karl Franz. The Empire is also a pretty great choice for a modded campaign, as SFO Grimhammer III, released for Immortal Empires a few days ago, adds a lot of faction systems and techs and units, and overall a ton of variety to the Empire's playstyle. We're gonna have a lot of very different armies, and I'm very excited about it. But before we finally get to summon the Elector Counts, a few quick things. If you enjoy this content and you want to see it updated regularly, don't forget to drop your likes and comments for the algorithm down below, as scheduling is tied to engagement. A huge shout out to Venrus and the SFO team for their work on this beloved mod, and as always a huge shout out to you guys for all your comments and support. YouTube's my hobby, I do it for fun when I have time off, and your comments keep it fun and keep this channel alive. Now we're going to take a quick look at the faction setup here, but do feel free to skip to gameplay via the chapters below if you're not interested. So faction effects, we gain more prestige from battles. Prestige is a currency that you're able to use for political dilemmas, and we're also able to dispatch Imperial Adjutants, which is the ability to acquire powerful ancillaries by spending prestige. We'll look at these systems a little bit more in depth probably at the start a little bit, but more so when we actually get to use them. Extra relationships with the Empire makes sense because, well, the Emperor is the head of the faction. A little bit of extra Lord recruit rank at +5, which should be very helpful in the early game and for raising levy armies to defend stuff. Increase to melee defense for Empire units for allied armies faction-wide, and upkeep decrease by 10% for effectively all the state troops types of units, which is great for handgunners. Well, this is generally great for early game, but we'll be using a lot of handgunners as well throughout the game, so this will remain very useful throughout. Otherwise, we can replenish in neutral territory, so it looks like Karl can travel through the Empire even when he doesn't have alliances with them, and still replenish. A little bit of extra character experience gain, which is decent. I suppose doesn't matter as much, but why not? Upkeep reduction for Reikland and Greatswords, which means Karl's retinue. So that does make sense from a loreful perspective, and it's pretty darn nice. I always like to build his army with lots of Reikland and Greatswords anyway, in particular. And of course, his Greatswords and Reikland also have the Guardian trait, which gives physical resistance to any lords or heroes nearby, so it's plus 15 free physical resistance to Karl and any heroes he brings forever. Lastly, we get some charge bonus for something, but the unit and spell browser covers it. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't think it matters all that much anyway. Free charge is free charge. Otherwise, in terms of the difficulty settings, we're going to go with very hard, which I personally find to be the sweet spot. Endgame difficulty is going to be set at 150. No particular reason, that's just the number I decided to settle on in some other campaign, and I've just kept with it. Turn timer range, we're going to activate between 110 and 135, with hopefully an Empire to defend from the Crisis, which is going to be either the Bigostois, the Vampiric Ascension, or the Vermintide. All very loreful, I think, endgame scenarios. I decided not to do Ultimate Crisis mode in this particular situation like I did for Belagar and Ikit, the current running campaigns, because I just don't want it to get tedious and, well, I want to be surprised by whichever one we get. Too bad that there's no Chaos one, because that's definitely the one I would do for this situation. But anyway, that's about it. All glory to the algorithm, and let's get to it.
Now is the time, men of the Empire, to unite!
Alrighty, that is certainly the case. We'll see how long it takes us to get all of the Empire. Now, how they play. I gotta love all these SFO systems. So we have prestige that we earn through various means, and we can use it to get political dilemmas, and then the relationships between the Empire states, which usually means we want more prestige in order to get more fealty from those from those elector counts. So make your choices to uphold Imperial Authority, which is this little bar right here. And crumbling is pretty awful. Control and growth reductions are pretty massive, and this is just basically Empire infighting. But you want to keep it up here so that we get the massive upkeep reduction, and the extra prestige, and more importantly, once again, that fealty. Anyway, Imperial Authority maintains power and stability while pandering to individual elector counts to increase fealty, as I said, and ultimately confederate the Empire. Maybe I should just read these rather than trying to explain them. And then lastly, wrest control of the Empire's state capitals through intrigue or war to install your own elector counts and receive benefits such as elector count, state troops, and other bonuses. So that would be the Imperial... Wait, not Imperial Adjutants, that's another new... That's another new thing. So yeah, that's this system. Every single one of the Empire's territories has an elector count, and getting an elector count deployed there allows you to get a bunch of bonuses, including the bonus of the individual count, as well as their special unit, as well as the unique weapon that they have, which is pretty nice. The Imperial Adjutants is another thing wherein we can use our prestige to get powerful, essentially, ancillaries, which could be pretty darn useful as well. It's going to take a while to get this amount of prestige, though, so we'll be seeing a lot more of this later on. And of course, in the prestige, once again, I clicked on the wrong thing, electoral machinations, we can use the prestige to do things like improve relations, military access, trade, etc., 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 as you can see here, but it's increased fealty. That is really quite useful. Although improved relations can be very useful as well. There we go. Alrighty, now that was a lot of talking, so I think rather than doing anything else administratively, we'll probably want to get a quick fight going. By the looks of it, the Imperial Secessionists, or Empire Secessionists, have 6 units in the first army, and let's see, 7 units in the defensive garrison. So I think we'll make this fight a cinematic, as in the fight for Grunberg cinematic, and then we'll do this one a regular style, mostly because the battle for the settlement should be just that tiny bit more difficult. Alright, let's get this fight going, and we'll do a tiny bit of admin, and then we'll do our first cinematic. And we probably should have gone ahead and done a little bit of diplomacy right away, but we'll do it in a bit. I just can't wait to see Karl. It's been a while. The last time I played Empire was with Balthazar Gelt, also an SFO, and I don't believe the Imperial Adjutant system was around back then. The fealty slash the Imperial Authority system, that was around. So I do remember it decently well. Alrighty, now let's just quickly set up. It's gonna be a real simple fight. We don't have crossbowmen in this one. Oh, well, isn't that a shame? And let's just allow the enemy to move forward, and... Oh, I saw that Karl was hidden, and for a second I thought he had stock for some reason, and I was surprised, let's say. Like so, and like so. Halberdiers, do the enemy have any cav? They do not have any cav. Alright, we try to avoid casualties as best we can. Alright, here we go. Ignore the melee troops, target the crossbows at least a little bit until the Reiksguard get into position. We're gonna speed it up, and we're gonna tell everybody to engage in a bit. Let's say... Actually, all of you can be group 3. Wait, did I forget the great swords? I did somehow forget the great swords. Oh, I canceled the great swords. You should be group 1. There we go. Alright, how are those crossbows looking? Alright, you two, move forward. Let's have you get hit by the crossbows, and Reiksguard, you're going to charge the crossbows. We're going to tell everybody to attack in a second. Like so. And Reiksguard, go for the crossbows. Alright, I think the rest doesn't really need much in the way of control. You're moving forward, right, buddy? Yeah, there we go. Alright, moving into those handgunners, and no shields on those spears. The great swords are about to move into it as well. The Reiksguard about to charge the crossbows, so the enemy will not be getting too much value out of them. Let's have you fire on those pikes and rather than hitting our own knights. A nice charge into those guys, hit them a little bit, and then move right through. Ignore those spears. Otherwise, our great swords and swordsmen are in. Where is our lord? He's fighting. Let's pop that Reikland Runefang. Would probably be nice to have him fight the enemy lord as well, who is all the way back here. Okay. We'll fight him in a bit then. Reiksguard, keep moving out. Oh, wow. Actually lost a few great swords to enemy Swordsman. Basic swordsman. Oh, maybe this guy's just killing them. Alright, fine then. We can do something about that. Let's have the handgunners target him. And let's have both the handgunners target him. Reiksguard, charge back in, kill those units, the crossbows. And let's help out the melee here. Alright, and the battle should be just about done. Ooh, don't do that. Back those guys off again. Let's not hurt our Reiksguard too much. Oh, you guys are taking a while to kill that general, ain't ya? Maybe we need Karl to do it for us. Alright, fine. Send Karl in. Everybody else, chase something. Karl, just move around the general here. Oh, the generals have the range attack now as well. They didn't have that in vanilla, though I didn't play Empire in Warhammer 3 yet, so who knows. Back in Warhammer 2, I had a lot of trouble picking out whether we had what parts were SFO and what parts were Warhammer 2, since I got so used to, or vanilla Warhammer 2, since I got so used to SFO. So now I'm still kind of unsure. Alrighty, well, you can gun those guys down. Let's give chase to everybody else. I think that we need to do our best to destroy this army. I'm not 100% on it. You two can switch targets to, let's say, this unit up here, and we're gonna speed it up as we chase everybody down. Alright, Reiksguard, go chase that unit. The enemy lord is down, which means we can switch your targeting to... Gee, nobody's in range. Alright, Reiksguard, you will have killed those crossbows, and I think we should be able to auto-resolve the remains of this. And it's nice to see everybody fight at least a little bit, but we'll get the cinematic battle going right after this, so we'll get a lot more decent army shots. This is a first battle that the game is essentially programmed to make it so that it's impossible to lose, so yeah. Alrighty, I think that's good enough. Let's go next battle. And hopefully we will have gained a little bit of XP and leveled up our first level. Get that march stance, the root marcher. I want to say it's root marcher. First skill point on the blue tree. Or blue line of the skill tree. Alright, come on now. Once again, the issue with the non-cinematic battles is you can't cut those out, and oh, well, if it isn't the Banner of Swiftness and an early perfect Vigor for Karl, which is pretty great considering that Vigor is very important in SFO. It's one of my favorite changes about it. Let us take on those captives. It's not like it's a lot of money after all, and the army is in fact actually destroyed, so we didn't even need to chase. Alrighty. We will have access to Imperial Foot, the Foot Reiksguard, but we will only have access to them in 15 turns, as our state troops, as Karl is obviously the Elector Count of Reikland. Also, Altdorf, you get an immediate upgrade. Oh well, isn't that just lovely? And your growth is... 5. That's certainly not a lot. It will go up very quickly, but for now I think we can increase it like so. And we do have fields in Grunberg, so they'll increase the growth quite a bit. Oh wait, not fields, pastures. I'm pretty sure pastures increase the growth, yes, and then we will build fields everywhere else. Alrighty, Karl, you're able to attack at Grunberg immediately after we get some tech. And oh, huh. This goes up a little high, so we can't see that. This should probably say infantry or state troops or something like that up here. I assume infantry. Now it's probably state troops. And I'm not sure what else this says. Ooh, hopefully there's nothing hidden above this. Or below that. It would be unfortunate if we were missing stuff, but I doubt it. It looks like everything's just reachable with the with this resolution or whatever the issue is. Anyway, we're obviously going to go for tithe rebates first, growth and control. Those are going to be very important to grow the empire immediately. And ooh, free company militia upkeep reduction. I do like free company militia very much. They're quite useful early game, so we'll probably be getting that upgrade, since we'll probably be building a lot of them with our first few armies. Though we shall see. Gotta tech to Hellblasters, or not Hellblasters, to Hellstorm rocket batteries as fast as possible. Now, before we're going onward, let's go to Quick Deal and let's see what we're looking at here. Everybody wants a non-aggression pact. Sounds good to me. Let's start with those. We'll probably ignore Karak Norn because they started war with Arguelon. Oh, we're already trading with them. Okay, I guess we won't be ignoring Karak Norn. What we also want to check out is, aha, so Karazakarak trade agreement. Not worth as much as some, but I think our relationship with Karazakarak and Kislev, those are going to be extremely important. I think that one of the great things about the Empire is if Karazakarak and the Ice Court survives, both of their unit types integrate really well with ours, and we can get a lot of variety with the armies. I am so excited about this campaign and the unit variety we're going to be able to get between the state troops and the SFO units and the outposts now available. Oh, it's all coming together. Thank you guys for choosing Empire. Anyway, let's start with Karazakarak, I think. I have seen them die a few times, which kind of worries me, but our relationship with them is decreasing due to their relationship with Sylvania, so that's one. Okay. Let's start with that trade agreement. Anybody else? Yes, let's go Ice Court. We'll do the important ones first, and then the less important ones after. And there we go, that's all the trade agreements we can get, but that's not all, really, because now we can start going for non-aggression packs and a free tiny bit of cash with everybody. We're not going to be attacking the other empire. Huh. You're near to trade agreement. For 254? Sure.
Of course.
Why not? Though Ostland is likely to die. Ostermark is pretty much always gonna die, so we don't actually need the military access. I think we'll ignore it. It'll get killed by either Sylvania or Draika. Averland sometimes survives, so we could certainly use the military access. Who else do we have here? Nordland. Nordland will probably die. I'm actually quite curious to see how Festus will do against Middenland as well. Let's us take your money, though. Call it Tribute to Altdorf, which is probably why some of them will want to secede and have low fealty. They don't want to send all the money to Altdorf. But it is what it is for them. Wissenland, lots of Diplo to start off. It always feels wrong to attack other Empire territories as Karl, doesn't it? It feels just so lorefully inaccurate that, yeah, don't want to do it. And a trade agreement with you, so a little bit more money growth. Nice that we have pottery available in Altdorf right away. And I believe that is it. Ostland is very close to a military access, but it'll die. And we will probably want to grab Castle von Rauken. I also expect Hawkland will be one of the first factions to die, because of course they're right beside Festus's start, and still a minor faction. But that's fine, because this will all be territory that we can reclaim. Oh, there's also Marienburg to consider, but I guess we'll deal with you after. Now that the diplomacy is done, let's hit Grunberg for our first cinematic. And we'll give Karl the Banner of Swiftness. Well, you know what, actually? I feel like we're going to get more mileage out of giving the Banner of Swiftness to the Greatswords instead. At least, first off. Yeah, and let's get some nice shots of this fight. Here we go.
To arms, men!
Alrighty, here we go. Our debut cinematic battle should be a pretty decently easy one, mind you, but I'm sure that we'll have another more difficult one afterwards. We just gotta make sure that we get some nice shots here. So we've set up pretty simply here with the handgunners being protected by a unit of halberdiers, which could either move in to plug a gap or it could move to either one of the flanks. Of course, the handgunners will be firing through the gaps in between the great swords and the swordsmen, while the Reiksguard ride around in the back and try to get rid of the enemy ranged units. Here we go, those same said ranged units are hitting the Reiksguard with a few crossbow bolts, but though lorefully crossbows probably can penetrate armor. I'm not entirely sure about Reiksguard armor specifically. They didn't seem to do much damage to the horses on the charge. They're pretty darn okay. Now, that said, the charge of the Reiksguard didn't kill a lot of those crossbows either. Only 2 units died, so we're still going to have to work on that quite a bit. Otherwise, the enemy army is still moving towards us. We are firing our mortars at the unit that is most far back, and that unit is not going to be taking too much damage, but it will also not be joining the fray for quite a little bit longer, as it does the dance all the way back there. More enemy units are moving up, and they're going to hit our main line soon, but we'll take at least a couple more volleys from our handgunners before they do so. And there we go, although it looks like the handgunners are firing a little bit too high. I guess because these guys are moving up a hill. But that's fine, the slope should be done. Here comes the charge of the great swords with Karl together with them, though he doesn't seem to want to join the battle quite yet. They're just standing back, which doesn't really seem like Karl. He's a lead from the front kind of guy. Anyway, we're going to also move our halberdiers into the gap, not so much to plug it, but rather to move around and then hit this enemy pile of swordsmen in the back. In the meantime, we're still running around in the background with the Reiksguard, who were being chased by this unit of pikemen, and we don't want them to engage those anti-large units, so we'll back off, wait for these guys to move away slightly, and then hit those archers again. Looks like the enemy Lord unit, this set of swordsmen, is in very bad shape fighting those great swords, unsurprisingly, and will be done for shortly. Otherwise, we have this unit of handgunners, which is going to be firing directly into this unit of pikes. We've specifically moved these swordsmen in such a way so as to expose this unit, and we'll be repositioning, or already have repositioned, these handgunners to fire into these pikes as well. Oh, you gotta love those gun volleys and the smoke. Oh, damn, I was going to get the unit reloading mod. I mean, it is just a graphical mod, but it does add that little extra bit of immersion. I wonder if it's save game compatible. Does anybody know?
Show these fools no mercy.
You just gotta love the handgunners, and I'd like to see them reload as well. Anyway, they're going to start ripping those poor pikemen apart by shooting them all in the sides, but said pikemen and swordsmen are also kind of semi-surrounded here, both by the swordsmen of our own, as well as the halberdiers, hitting them in the flank. The Reiksguard have caught the enemy archers once more, and now the enemy pikes are too far away to help them out, and I do believe said crossbows should be done for shortly. It looks like these pikemen are also in very bad shape, similarly getting ripped apart by the handgunners hitting them in the sides, and Karl leads the great swords to kill off the next unit. It looks like the battle will be ours shortly as well. And there we go, Galmaraz doing some splash damage. Too bad that they didn't do a double animation. Like, he's currently equipping the Reikland Rune Fang. I guess they didn't want to make a sword animation as well as a hammer animation. Oh, I like how they shout "Die Traitor" to the secessionists. Very nice. Gotta pay attention more to what the unit calls there. I say as I speak over one of them saying something. My bad, I'm sure we'll hear plenty more. Anyway, it looks like the battle is nearly over. This unit is broken, this unit is wavering and about to break as well. And let's see, the Reiksguard have nearly taken care of this unit of crossbows. In fact, those have broken as well, though the mortars are now dropping. Gotta be careful about those. One Reiksguard did just drop, but I think it was probably to a pike rather than to a mortar. And everybody's running, though the Lord unit is coming back. I'm sure a few volleys from our handgunners will make sure that that is no longer the case. In fact, there's no need, they just broke right before the volley from the handgunners. And then there was one single unit of pikemen remains on the field. Surprising that they're still fighting, considering army damage and the fact that literally the entire army other than them is routing. But not to worry, our handgunners are moving up and should be able to take care of business. 4 minutes. 4 minutes for such a tiny battle. I love it. And there we go. Arcing into the back of those pikes, and their damage sustained. They're shaken now, and army losses should be there. One more volley if it's needed. And it looks like it is, as they're still fighting and moving back, but here comes some shots from the mortars, as well as from the handgunners, and I think these guys are done. I kept waiting for those mortars to hit, but it looks like they went way, way wide. Oh, well, there we are. Obviously, there's no need to give chase to these guys, because it's a settlement battle. It is a decisive victory, and our losses, I think, were relatively minimal, and even if there were some, we should be able to heal up in our brand new territory immediately. Let's see what damage we took. Alrighty, there we go. Easy enough. 60 casualties, below 10%, always a good sign. And you gotta admit, there's something extremely intrinsically satisfying about watching Imperial troops fight. Also, look at those handgunners, 15k damage apiece, and 14k on those greatswords. Lovely. And the Reiksguard could have done better, I gotta admit, though they did spend a decent amount of time running away from the spears or the pikemen, which they may not have had to actually do, but at least this way they avoided too much damage. We also got our first little bit of prestige here, 663, and not gonna be enough to get any fealty as yet, but, well, we'll be saving up for a while. Obviously, we're going to occupy Grunberg, and we get to keep the pastures, so the growth is already at 95. Very nice. And also, while we're here, we may as well recruit some more units. I gotta go with the Free Company. Let's see, they are at 30 and 35 melee, defense, and attack. We'll probably also want to build some Empire Archers, though. If anybody knows the real point of the Empire Archers, please let me know, because I've never understood them. Because they're not like the Hunters, they're just inferior to crossbows in every way, aren't they? Let's see, so 170 range versus 140 range, missiles, so the weaker missile strength, weaker range, lower ammunition, weaker in combat, weaker armor. They're just worse in every way. They are a bit cheaper, but they're not so much cheaper that would be worth taking one over the other. 120 units versus 100 units, though, so I suppose there is a slight difference in some of those stats. It just seems like they get outclassed really, really early, which generally SFO is quite good at avoiding. Like, you notice the difference between spearmen with shields and pikemen, 35 melee attack and 30 melee defense versus 25 and 35. So they are different units that can be used for slightly different purposes. Whereas this just seems like a straight up upgrade. Unless I'm missing something. Maybe these guys had stock or something, but for a tier 1 unit, that's a little bit strong, and that's what the Huntsmen are for. And they've got their anti-large as well, so you don't want the Empire Archers overlapping the Huntsmen. But anyway, I digress. I do believe there's no more diplomacy to do, but I just wanted to double check in case our attack on the secessionists got us a little bit more friendship, but it doesn't look like it. Anyway, let's end the turn, and ooh, Karl, you got yourself a point. And while I'd love to get hold of the line, we gotta go with Route Marcher first. Oh, and what do we have here? For the military heritage, we can go artillery power-up, we can go pistoliers and outriders, noble sons, and we could go upkeep production for basic state troops by the looks of it, but it does also power up the missile infantry. Oh, and this does include the handgunners as well. But obviously, the main portion of Karl's army is gonna have to be Reiksguard and greatswords. That's what he's all about. I guess we could power up the cavalry via speed, a little bit of charge bonus, and a little bit of leadership. Otherwise, this is a little bit weak. I'm almost tempted to just go for the artillery buffs. Well, either way, we'll see. We'll see about that. Also, just to double check, so you power up Reiksguard, and you should power up greatswords, and Wolfkin as well. Empire Captains, upkeep reduction total, and weapon strength, all characters faction-wide, and hit points. Some very nice buffs on Karl.
I command here.
That's old Sigmar Reborn for you. Anyway, let's go next turn. Time to take Ubersreich and build the inn. Hopefully Ubersreich will then be able to defend itself without too much intervention. Damn, there's a lot of factions. 274. Let's see how quickly this gets whittled down. And SFO mod menu is available, which is up here. We're not going to fiddle with anything just yet. I still haven't figured out, as it's been a little bit too long since I played SFO, only having now started Belagar in this one. So I'd like to wait before fiddling. You, Karl, I guess you're going to move forward towards Ubersreich. And by the looks of it, the enemy is not going to defend it. Okay, well, free take is a free take. Do we want more swords? Do we want some pikes? I don't feel the need for pikes. We'll probably get spears instead. Just because of the shields. Well, we could get a couple units of Empire archers, but we'd be replacing them in 4 turns. And the question is, could we possibly need them? There is Helmgart to consider, which may be an issue to take, especially as it is a fort. And the archers maybe, you know what, just in case we attack Helmgart, I think we're going to go with archers, even though they're kind of a waste of money, but it's not like the money is going to be all that problematic right now. Otherwise, that's another end turn. Let's see if Hans goes to Ubersreich, though somehow I doubt it. The best thing that Hans could do for us would be to move towards Helmgart and then stay outside it, so that we could attack him. Ooh, also I just saw something get destroyed up north. Looks like Middenland, or Weissmund rather, got taken over by the Warherd of the One Eye. So good job to Kazrak. Maybe we'll get Kazrak, we'll get fighting against Kazrak soon. And hello, what do we have here? A Celestial Wizard. I think I would have preferred a Fire Wizard early on, but the Celestial will do, at least for now. We can spam Wind Blast at the very least, and periodically Erinon's Thunderbolt, which is quite spammable as well. Hero action success chance, magic item drop chance, all characters faction-wide. Yeah, we gotta spam these guys all over the place. Upkeep reduction for spellcasters. Alrighty, and what do you have determined? Leadership and immunity to psychology, kind of meh. We'll probably replace him unless he gets too high of a level, and then it becomes no longer worth it to replace. Anyway, Karl, you're gonna siege Ubersreich. We are going to encircle it, and oh wow, that's a lot of archery units back there, isn't it? Is Ubersreich a special location that counts as a settlement battle? No, okay, so it will be a field battle. Theon Aglim, join up with Karl, please. Now, this guy certainly loves to build archers, and we'll definitely have to be careful because of it. Well, let's see what we're facing off against. A Pyrrhic Victory, and 4 crossbows as well, damn. So they have nearly a full stack of nothing but range units. Definitely have to watch out for that because of the insane range buffs that the AI gets. We'll have to try to charge those directly, essentially. Alright, well, should be an interesting time. We are nonetheless going to attack, because I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. Here we go.
This is my command! Show no mercy! They will not!
Alrighty, here we go again, and credit where it's due to the secessionists. They can certainly raise a levy, nearly twice the amount of troops that we have, and we have the resources of Altdorf to call upon. Kind of surprising, but not to worry, we should be able to take care of them. Though we do have to be careful here. With as many units, I think 11 or so, units of range that they have, we could be very much in danger of having our units focused down. And also looks like the enemy reinforcements are going to be moving onto the field in pretty much, what, a couple seconds? I think it was 6 seconds? Basically immediately. And the question will be then, will the enemy wait for it, or will our single mortar be able to kick the anthill and force them all forward without the support of all those reinforcements? Now, just quickly, let's take a look at the setup that we've got going on here. As we've obviously not done the standard little battle line here, as we do have a lot of enemy ranged units to combat, and thus have to do a little bit of thinking in order to do so. So, we have a single unit of swordsmen here hidden in the trees, and both of our units of Free Company Militia also hidden. As soon as the enemy main line or their infantry charge towards us, we will obviously charge out of the woods and have all of these units, particularly the Free Company, hit the enemy range. Same thing is going for the Reiksguard, though they're actually waiting all the way back here to move around the entire enemy formation and hit this enemy unit of mortars right in the back. As for our main line, we're going to be moving our 2 units of handgunners over to the side where this piece of terrain doesn't interfere with their firing arc, as it would probably be quite difficult to line up a shot here as they fire straight. And then we'll be using these pseudo walls slash cliffs to some effect, with our swordsmen using this one, and possibly our great swords going somewhere up here, depending on how close the enemy decides to get. Our Celestial Wizard will be in the back supporting, but we will be using him in melee a little bit, because he does apply the, for the love of, okay, he does apply the blind debuff to the enemy, which means that melee defense and attack minus 15 is a fairly significant debuff, so it's not something, it's certainly not something to sneeze at, especially as Karl also has, if I can ever click him, a Bone Crusher to further decrease enemy melee defense. So together they should work out quite well. And that's about it. Let's see about the battle, shall we? Oh, I also forgot to mention the Halberdiers. They're going to be all the way on the side, and we're going to try to keep them back mostly, because there are units other than our ranged units that is going to be the most vulnerable to enemy range fire. Only 45 armor and no shields, and I don't want them to get absolutely pincushioned. Anyway, let's speed this up a little bit as the enemy army moves forward. Our bombardment will continue, but at this range, the mortar is unlikely to be able to hit anything. Can't wait to get some new artillery pieces, but it'll have to take some time. And there we go, the anthill has been kicked, the enemy marches towards us, and it looks like our Reiksguard has actually managed to peel away 2 units of Empire archers and a unit of pikemen as well. Though as to whether these guys continue to chase said horses around remains to be seen. They are leaving their mortars once more unprotected, and though the Reiksguard appear to be taking a few shots, it does look like they're going to make it and destroy the mortars before they really achieve anything. Plus, these guys are far too heavily armored to be all that worried about mortars. Otherwise, it looks like the enemy lord is charging forward with some units of pikes that are immediately going to start taking shots from our handgunners. And man, I didn't know whose charge to watch, the Reiksguards or the enemies into our lines. Let's watch the Reiksguard first, and just real quick. They're going to make short work of this crew. I guess the crew is going to be pretty short once they're missing their secessionist heads. Alrighty, well, say goodbye to the mortars. They won't be standing too long. Let's check back on the main battle line now. Let's see, so our archers as well as our handgunners are now focusing the enemy Empire archers down. Hopefully they'll be able to destroy them, while Karl and this unit of swordsmen tries to hold the line and hold the enemy lord back in as many melee units as they can. Our own great swords are going to move forward to try to tie up additional units, but to also allow less melee to try to react to our Free Company and our swordsmen, which are moving forward and getting ready to charge those enemy archers. The goal here is essentially to tie up as many enemy range units as we can in any way we can, so that they can, so that they can't leverage the fact that they completely overpower us in range. There we go, some very nice volleys from our handgunners. Looks like they're in decent positions and not blocked by terrain. They should be able to rip these archers apart fairly quickly, especially as we have a little bit of mortar support coming down. As long as these guys are firing, they won't be doing the dodge dance, and thus the mortars should be pretty good. Can't wait to get some Sootsen's Sons mortars. Is it Sootsen's Sons? Sootsen's Guns? It's probably Sootsen's Guns, isn't it? The mortars that can't do any friendly fire damage, though not necessarily in this army. We shall see if we maintain mortars, maybe a couple. You gotta have some artillery, after all, in this army. It only feels right, especially if we buff up the artillery with Karl's personal buffs. Anyway, Karl, this time, unlike last time, is indeed leading from the front, whacking away with his hammer at those pikemen. The enemy lord is probably doing the same thing, but within our battle line. We're also applying our debuffs to the enemy with our Celestial Wizard, which is quite useful. As we can see, these guys are bone crushed and blinded, and down to 26 melee defense. We've also got the Swordsmen, which are buffed by the Reikland Runefang, and we can get harmonic convergence on them with the Celestial Wizard to buff both their armor and melee defense when needed as well, which is whenever it's on cooldown, since it's the only spell that we have. Alrighty, well, it looks like the mortars and the range units have taken care of the Empire Archers X2, and a third one's about to fall. We've also caught another unit of Empire Archers with our Free Company Militia. The Swordsmen are moving past said company and are moving down to distract the enemy pikes, allowing the Free Company to move free, move around, and continue flanking and chasing those archers down, all while firing. Gotta love those Free Company. Alright, come on, give us another volley, would you? No? You don't want to volley? Guys, come on. I was praising you. And you don't use your guns. Alrighty, well, I'm sure they'll be using them shortly, like into the sides of those units fighting. There you go. Much better. Alrighty, balance of power is actually now starting to even out. We've also started to fire our mortar. I targeted the ground right here in the hopes that it doesn't do too much damage to our greatswords, which are holding back an absolutely massive tide of enemy infantry. Karl and co are still doing the same here, but once again, that does free up the rest of our units to tie up the enemy range. The handgunners have been absolutely wrecking face in terms of the enemy range units, and the archers are sort of helping out, though the archers that are back here have taken some damage in reprisal as well. Looks like our Reiksguard have also moved away from those units that they have peeled away and are ready to charge some more crossbows, and we'll be charging the rest of those crossbows as well. Alrighty. Looking like it's going reasonably well so far. Considering how outnumbered we are, I'm pretty happy so far. Alright, Free Company fighting crossbows, neither particularly good in melee, but certainly good enough to take on crossbows, as in the Free Company is. We've also finally gotten some use out of our halberdiers, who are moving around up on that hill, but are now ready to work with the Reiksguard to trap 2 units, or crush 2 units of crossbows between them, one of them indeed running away. Looks like the balance of power has indeed now shifted in our favor at about 60%. We've nearly killed an Empire Captain, who both Karl and the Celestial Wizard are now trying to focus down, since said Empire Captain needs the debuffs from both, though we do have to be careful with our Wizard as he is starting to take damage. Probably both from the Empire Captain as well as nearby troops, and plus I see a couple of arrows in his back. Alrighty, as for our range units, they are now focusing down those swordsmen. Unfortunately, our own swordsmen have just routed, so it's only Karl here, and the Celestial Wizard has to back off. Fortunately, though, our own handgunners are now pretty much done with the enemy archers and can start focusing more important targets. Well, the ones that are still alive. Taking shots from that enemy general, but shooting right at the general and bringing him down fairly quickly. One more volley should just kill him. 211 HP remains. And I don't know whether you guys are gonna volley him out. It doesn't matter, because just like that, suddenly the battle is over. The enemy army has shattered, and we have won. I do believe this should probably break the secessionist faction, as this was their main army, so as long as we quickly take their other 2 territories, they will not be able to rebuild. Very, very nice. And what a fun battle, too. I love getting such a long battle in the first couple turns. That's SFO for you. Alrighty, a very, very fun battle. Close victory due to the slightly increased damage that we took as compared to last time, but still pretty good considering the amount of troops arrayed against us and the fact that they were basically the same types of troops that we ourselves were using. Karl got 6,200 damage, not too bad. Basically no damage on the Celestial Wizard, mind you, but that's because said wizard has no damage spells and only Harmonic Convergence available to him. We got 21k nearly on the Reiksguard and respectable damage on the rest of the infantry units, so the Halberdiers, to be fair, didn't really do all that much, mostly because I was afraid of them getting ripped apart by enemy range units, and well, with good reason, what with them being unshielded at all. As usual, the handgunners cleaned house, but the Free Company militia did very nicely as well, and frankly, so did the archers, and, well, the Reiksguard aren't really surprising. 35k on the mortars as well, whereas the enemy got nothing out of them, because they didn't protect their artillery piece. Now, we got 1,700 money out of it, a decent amount of XP as well. We're obviously going to occupy the place. And hey, Karl's already on a horse. Now we just gotta get him to Deathclaw. We've brought him to his men, now we gotta bring him to his mount as well. And then we gotta summon the Elector Counts. Basically, those are the main goals of this campaign. You'd think that these are the objectives, but no. Alrighty, also 1,600 prestige. Are we yet ready to get our first use okay, I went to the wrong system. Our first use of increased fealty, no, 2,222. Does that decrease based on the amount of prestige required? Let's see, who's our friendliest faction, I wonder? Nordland, okay, it is different. So I would imagine, but it isn't tied to fealty by the looks of it. You're at 8 and you're at 5, but they're about the same. Probably tied to relationships, I'm not sure. I gotta give a quick read to some of the patch notes. Unfortunately, or as usual, I was too excited to play. More so excited to play than just to read stuff. But not to worry, we'll get to it. And ooh, hello. You leveled up, my friend, which is great. It's not enough to get Windblast, but one more level will give it to you. Would have been nice if we could get it before heading down to Helmgard here. It's probably going to be a tough take. Could really use some Ogre mercenaries, but there are none nearby. Now, what do we want to get in terms of troops? I think we'll need a little bit more melee, so I think a couple more swordsmen would do for now. Though, yeah, we'll have to break through battle lines here, and ooh, they got handgunners of their own. Of course, we could also ignore Helmgart and go for Eilhart instead and siege Helmgart later on. We'll have to figure that out at some point. Let's also give Karl his buffs. We could get hold the line for him, as he will be buffing up units nearby. And I guess we'll get Inspiring Presence as well. Emperor's Finest probably won't give us too much value. I mean, it's a great buff, don't get me wrong. But the issue with it is that we'll definitely want other stuff, namely to buff Reiksguard and to buff Great Swords, and probably some Demigriffs as well. Damn, there's pretty much everything. There's good things in pretty much every single one of these, so yeah, we'll have to be careful with our points. It's almost good that Karl isn't a caster lord or a hybrid lord, because then we wouldn't have enough points to go around. Anyway, let's double check diplomacy one more time, and then let's end the turn. Alrighty, and in fact oh man, we're already running out of time. Those battles take quite a lot longer in SFO, and it's a great thing. Makes them all more fun to watch as well, in my opinion. Although you guys let me know how you feel about the longer battles as well. Ooh, looks like Karlberg has fallen, and I think that means that... Wait. No, Middenland's still alive. I was thinking for a second that Middenheim, or Middenland rather, had already been destroyed. And what do we have here? A lesser nobleman with close associations to the House of Aberland has been imprisoned by order of Eben von Leibwitz, Elector Count of Wissenland. He is accused of having a forbidden affair with one of Eben von Leibitz's family members. Wissenland bays for the Aberland nobleman's blood, sentencing him to death. You may have the political power to lobby for the prisoner's release should you choose to do so. So we could bump up the fealty of Averland, or we could keep them a little bit more even. So Averland will take us to 6, but we'd go down to 1 on Wissenland, which is pretty darn low. If we do nothing, Wissenland bumps up to 3. We do want Nuln, but man, it's going to take a while to get Nuln on our side. I think we'd probably rather keep all the fealty roughly in the middle tier. If it wasn't Averland, if it was something else like Talabekland, something closer to us, though Averland is reasonably close, but also like Solland, for example. The Golden Order, I think, has very high fealty to start off. And then we'd focus on them to get their fealty maxed out ASAP. But yeah, I think we'll do nothing for now. I'm not 100% sure whether whether this is the right decision, but there will be some learning pains as I recover the memories of how to play SFO Empire. So yeah, do nothing for now. Alrighty, and just actually to check here, electric counts. So yeah, we have very high, yeah, see, Talabekland, like I was saying. Talabekland has very high fealty, and so does Solland. Base fealty is 7, high relations also increases your fealty, so we want high relationships with everybody. Now, out of curiosity, does not going with one of these factions, where's Averland, make them hate you? Treaties with Sylvania. Okay, well, they don't like the treaties with Sylvania, but we'll keep that around for now. But yeah, they don't hate us for it.
Sigmar's will.
Marienburg does, though. We might... Wait, are we actually physically capable of declaring war on them?
Deliver your missive and then get...
Yes, we are. Are we physically capable of declaring war on the others? Yes, we are. Okay. Just out of curiosity. It's a lot more lorefully accurate, I think, to possibly declare war on Marienburg than it is on other imperial territories. There is still a certain elector count of Sylvania that we'll have to deal with. But we'll see about him later. Anyway, unfortunately with that, I think we're basically out of time, and I'm going to call the episode here. Next time we'll most likely begin with marching on Helmgart. It is about to upgrade to level 2, so now would probably be the best time to hit it, or possibly ignore it and go for Eilhart instead, though. Getting this might force us into a war with some Bretonnians, but that may not necessarily be such a bad thing, especially if Durthu starts fighting them, and then we can get friendly with some of the Wood Elves, as well as some of the Bretonnians. It's a possibility. There's lots of ways to go, especially now with Immortal Empires. We've got lots of enemies everywhere, but we'll have to essentially go either north or south right now, I think. Well, southwest. Into Bretonnia. There's just a lot of threat up here, and we'll probably have to send an army up there no matter what we do. But anyway, I digress since I'm having a good time, and hopefully more good times will be seen in the future. Stay tuned for more Empire. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. Appreciate any suggestions you guys got, and thanks for watching.